Good morning, Facebook friends, colleagues, family, beloveds. I'm Sheila Pearl, the Love Doctor of the Hudson Valley. And this morning I'm sharing with you another tip for making love better. The last 2 days we talked about the power of the pause, taking a moment to remind yourself who's in charge. Yesterday we talked about the power of smiling and laughing, because when we use that intention to lift and to shift our energy, it lifts and shifts the possibilities for whatever conflict you might be in the middle of, or important conversation that you're having in which you might be feeling some trepidation or apprehension and fear and even have a slight edge of an attitude. So today, we're continuing with that theme of taking your power back. And one of the ways we can all do that is to take a deep breath. Have you ever been in the middle of a situation that was full of anxiety, that perhaps it was a shared situation, and someone in the room said, "Take a deep breath"? That's wise advice for all of us when we're in a state of anxiety or fear. Take a deep breath. One of my friends posted a little meme this morning. It was a brief conversation between Piglet and Pooh. And Piglet says, "How do you spell love?" And Pooh says, "You don't spell love. You feel love." And this is really to the point that love is a verb, it's not a noun. Love is something that we take action in expressing and being. We're all love. Love is everything there is, and I often say love is everything there is and everything else is a distraction. But the question is, what's distracting us? And how do we get back on track? How do we rebalance our energies and our focus in the most important relationships in our lives? So the whole idea of taking a deep breath is to remind ourselves, just like the power of the pause, just like the power of smiling, that when we take a deep breath, we're truly taking our power back. We are inspiring ourselves with breath. We are reminding ourselves that the simple act of breathing deeply literally infuses our brain with much needed oxygen. And it's that oxygen that leaves our brain when we're in a state of fight or flight. It's that oxygen that leaves our brain when we're filled with fear and anger. And by taking a deep breath, we're saying to ourselves, we're even saying to the person on the other side of that conversation or that room filled with people that might be on the receiving end of some kind of temper tantrum, I'm in charge. That deep breath, my friends, is a reminder that we have within ourselves the power to inspire ourselves. Inspiratori is to inspire, to bring in the breath of life. To remind ourselves that all it takes is breathing in a possibility of breathing out a potential disaster. When you do deep breathe, when you take that deep breath, what are you offering yourself and those around you? You're offering them a moment to pause also. So that pause, that smile, adding to that the deep breath, you're adding possibilities to that moment that wouldn't exist if you just go off half-cocked and react. And the theme of these conversations with you, my friends, the tips that I'm giving you, are ways that you can quickly, instantly, effortlessly, with clear intention, choose to respond to any situation that's triggering you. Choose to respond rather than reacting your way through life. Did you know that most people never learn how to respond, that they react to everything in life and then wonder why everything's such a mess? And I often say your mess is your message. And look at the patterns. Look at the patterns of what you co-created in your life and see it as a blessing if you can understand what's going on so you can fix it. You're not helpless. You're not a victim. But when we allow ourselves to constantly react, we become a victim to our own thoughts, beliefs, and impulses. Very often what's triggering us are thoughts and beliefs that aren't even remotely true. So when we take that deep breath, when we engage in deep breathing like we're invited to do in yoga and in meditation, this is an invitation to connect with yourself. And sometimes when you're triggered, you forget who you really are and you're reacting to what I call the big lie. And you're reacting to something that you think the other person meant or said, and you're taking it on, and very often it's not even true. Now, I had a conversation with a dear person in my life yesterday whose spouse has suffered a loss of a parent. And it's been a slippery slope. It's been a prickly pathway. It's been a difficulty with this particular parent in the whole family system. And this parent who passed away, he should rest in peace, has created havoc everywhere he goes. And he has modeled reaction after reaction, and he has a dirty mouth, and he spews forth and he vomits accusations and verbal abuse all his life with his children, with his spouse, with other members of his family. And so when my dear friend's spouse was reacting to the loss of his father, he was acting out and having a temper tantrum in front of his wife, and she felt like she was the target. I'm sure she had reason to feel that she was the target. And I reminded her in our conversation, I know what your husband said to you was deeply hurtful. But believe me when I tell you, he did not intend to be cruel. He was actually echoing the cruelty of his father's behavior towards him and everyone in the family for literally decades. So we owe it to ourselves to pause, to smile, to take a deep breath when we're feeling profoundly triggered, when someone else on the other side of the conversation is spewing forth and vomiting verbal abuse in a crisis situation, in a situation in which they don't know what to do with their intense feelings, they don't even know what they are. We owe it to ourselves to not take that on, not assume that they even know what they're saying. Sometimes when people are triggered in a state of crisis and pain and anguish, they go into what I call the red zone. And all kinds of stuff comes falling out of their mouths. They don't even know what they're saying. And in many cases, by the way, they don't even remember. I had a client come to me years ago whose partner sent him to me because he went into what he called jealous rages. And I discussed with him and explored with him what his partner had been concerned about. Not even accusing him, but concerned because it was getting in the way of the relationship. And my client looked at me and said, I don't know what he's talking about. I don't remember that. And I've discovered over the years that that's a common phenomenon, that people often, when they go into that red zone and they go into truly rage, all kinds of stuff comes falling out of their mouths, awful stuff. It's really hurtful. It's really ugly. But quite frankly, they don't even remember what they're saying. So trust me when I tell you, it's not about you. It's not at you. It feels like it is, but you owe it to yourself to take that deep breath. Remind yourself, he knows not what he does. She knows not what she does. And I refuse to react to this craziness, because people do crazy things. They go into the red zone, and they're literally out of their minds at that moment. Doesn't mean they're crazy all the time. Doesn't mean they're out of their mind all the time. But we have those moments where we forget ourselves. So that deep breath will literally, just like taking the pause, just like the magic of that smile and that laughter which shifts our energy, the deep breath literally shifts our energy, gives our bodies the much needed oxygen that we need to refuel our brain, which is being robbed of oxygen at that moment. And then we are in control. Then we can respond to a situation which may need for us to set aside taking anything personally, so we can actually be present to the other person who may be in such a state of depression or rage or upset or loss or grief that they need for us to be present to them and not react to them and not hold it against them that they forgot who they are. And the moment that we can take that deep breath and we can remind ourselves who we are, we have chosen the higher road. And we have chosen to perhaps heal or begin the healing process of a situation which is full of brokenness, which is full of pain. And the moment one partner or another in a conversation, in a relationship, does not fuel the fire, chooses not to react or counter-react, chooses not to take something that feels like an attack, chooses not to take it as an attack, you actually stem the ongoing proliferation of that crisis or that conflagration. You see, love is a verb. It's not a noun. Love is a feeling. You don't spell love. You feel love. And you feel love when you're on the receiving end of love. You feel love when you become the giver of love. And as long as you're in that intention of loving, that's an energy that's contagious. Good morning, Frank. Good morning, Valerie. Good morning, Peter. Good morning, Fran. So good to see you. I'm happy that some of you are tuning in. And by the way, I'll be with you again tomorrow morning at 10 o'clock. I can't always make it the same time, but as much as I can, I'm trying to make it a time that's not too early and not too late during the day when you get your days going in other directions. So I do know that tomorrow morning, which is Sunday morning, I can do this at 10 o'clock. I can't do it next week, I know, because I have clients, and my standing client for this morning had to cancel, had to go out of town. So that's the good news for us tomorrow. So I hope this has been helpful for you. I hope that this has been beneficial to add to your appreciation for how important it is for you to take back your power and how simple it can be to just take that deep breath, pause, smile, and bring to the conversation with the people you love most. Bring an ease and a flow to that conversation so that neither one of you react or counter-react. So that if you see an attack coming with slings and arrows, that you let it go right past you, that you don't take it on. So often, if we just add a little understanding, add a little compassion, add a little pause, add a little smile, add a little deep breathing to any given conflict situation, we bring to that the possibility of understanding. And that matters. So go make it a beautiful day. Go and make love better. Go and engage in some deep breathing and enjoy this beautiful day. Bye for now. See you in the morning.